Hi everyone, it's John from What Up. Welcome back to another video. And today we're talking IWoT Productions and some of the announcements they've been making within the Wheel of Time universe and what we can expect from them in the coming months and years. So if you love the Wheel of Time as much as I do, if you're excited about more Wheel of Time stuff and news surrounding that, or other fantasy news and adaptation news, consider making us your home for all of those things, including book reviews. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and of course, folks, tell all your friends. Expect to see my Legend of Zelda video probably coming out tomorrow. Everything we know about the adaptation, that'll come out tomorrow. So today we're talking about IWoT Productions. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to give a very brief overview of who they are and what they do. They essentially hold the rights to everything Wheel of Time related other than the books. So if we want more books, Outrigger novels, sequels, prequels, that sort of thing, more set in the universe, that'll be through Bandersnatch Group. And that includes Robert Jordan's widow, Harriet. So if we want books, it's not through IWoT Productions. But anything else is through IWoT Productions. Essentially, the show was made because they made a deal with Sony, and then Sony made a deal with Amazon because they had the ability to do that, to make shows and movies and whatnot. Now, right now, the rights for the show is solely resting with Sony because Sony and IWoT had a contract. However, pretty much everything else is going to be IWoT in some way, shape, or form if we're going to get Wheel of Time stuff. And they have had a sort of a tumultuous relationship with the fandom for years and years and years. But the end result of it is, if you want more Wheel of Time things, it's going to come through them. Now, they've put out some hits over the years, some things that were really well received by the fandom and done really well. They put out some things that weren't so well received by the fandom as well. But like any other company, they're continuing to make things Wheel of Time related. And they've made a few announcements recently. So the first announcement I want to talk about is this. And this lady here is Sarah Nakamura. You may recognize her if you're a fan of the show because she was the book consultant for the show. Essentially, she advised the writer's room on what would happen if they made certain changes to the story or added things or took things out. And again, I want to reiterate, she had zero power in making decisions. She was in an advisory capacity only, so when they said, we're going to do this, she would go, well, this is what would happen, this is what you'd have to do, and this is what would change. So that's what she did for the show. She's been a staple in the Wheel of Time fandom for years. We're talking years and years and years. She assisted the iteration of IWoT at the time, which was Red Eagle Studios, with Winter Dragon way back in the 90s. She has been at conventions. She's been at the forefront of a lot of different things. You usually see her cosplaying Moraine because that's her favorite character, and she talks about her a lot. She has a huge social media presence online within the Wheel of Time fandom, and she is now officially working with IWoT Productions as the creative producer for narrative and engagement, and that's across all their projects. So that announcement came out. She announced it on X, and then IWoT Productions also announced it through an official press release. And essentially, in the official press release, they talk about the things she's going to be doing. So she's basically going to be kind of the same job for IWoT as she did for Sony for the show. She's going to be advising on creative things. She's going to be making sure that certain aspects of the Wheel of Time narrative and lore stay the same, but it's across all projects. So she's going to be head of that department. She's also going to be hosting a podcast. I don't know when that's coming out. I haven't really heard much about that, but in the press release it did say she would host a podcast where she would talk about all of IWoT's things that are coming out. She's going to be attending fan conventions. She will be basically the public face of the company when it comes to anything Wheel of Time related, which is a good thing because she has a ton of social credit with the fandom. The fandom absolutely loves her to pieces. So I think this is a smart move by IWoT, hiring her and making her creative producer. Not just that, she is a huge Wheel of Time fan and probably the most knowledgeable person on the planet when it comes to the material. So this is a smart move by IWoT. Now, IWoT's also done a ton of other things recently. So they created a game studio in Montreal. Now, if you don't know, Montreal is sort of like a boomtown for game studios. Square Enix has there, Ubisoft has an office there. Like any major game studio that you can think of, they have offices within Montreal and they produce games there. So IWoT is creating a new game studio there to create a open world RPG Wheel of Time game. Now, I've seen a lot of discourse online about this. So like, why didn't they go to another AAA established studio and say, let's make this Wheel of Time game? Well, there's probably a bunch of reasons for that. But I take a look at some of the games that are being put out now by AAA studios, and I have zero faith in most of them. I'm not going to lie to you. a lot of them are putting out games that are just not great, and they're full of microtransactions, and they're full of bugs, and they're garbage. And I'm a big gamer. I've been a gamer for years and years and years. I particularly love RPGs, open world RPGs. Right now, I'm doing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm doing a playthrough of that. I love it to pieces. It's absolutely amazing. There are some good games out there. However, a lot of the games, especially the big major studios, they've kind of fallen off a cliff lately when it comes to things because there's more profit over production and product. For example, I was a huge Blizzard advocate for years. I loved Blizzard. I played Warcraft 1, 2, and 3. I played StarCraft 1 and 2. I played World of Warcraft for probably 20 years. I still play it occasionally, not like I used to though, because the game is not what it was. It's now microtransaction to all pieces. They're putting things in like one-button rotations. They were bought out by a bigger company, and sometimes bigger companies don't always have the vision and the passion that smaller companies have. So when you get too big, sometimes it's a bad thing. Not always, but sometimes it is. And we're seeing that right now with Blizzard. You can't even put a ticket in to report things, and if your account gets banned because you're mass reported by bots, it's just the way it is, pretty much. There's a lot of problems right now with Blizzard. And that's just one example. There's a lot of other studios that are like that too. So I think creating their own game studio, while it will take time, might be a smart idea. It depends on what they do. And so far, what I can say about what they're putting out there, the people they're hiring are the right people, if that makes any sense. They have the right experience. They are taking time to procure the right talent. So I'm hopeful that this game and this game studio will do well, rather than saying going to Ubisoft or some other Activision and saying, hey, make this game for us, because it probably wouldn't be the game that we would expect. With Sarah Nakamura there as well to advise them, I think that's a good thing. So who do they have? Well, the game is going to be an AAA open world RPG based on the Wheel of Time. We don't have much more details than that right now. They just announced that they're doing the game. They haven't announced what era the game's going to be set in. If it'll be a playthrough of the books, if it'll be the Age of Legends, if it'll be pre, post, they don't know. Because it's not book related, they're pretty much not shackled to having to do things within the story. So to get more books, like either Outrigger novels afterwards, to see certain aspects that happen after the last battle. I didn't give spoilers for this video, so I'm not going to talk about what they are, or to get prequel stuff, that has to go through Bandersnatch. And we may not ever see that. They've announced a number of different times that they're likely not going to do more books. But you can tell the story in different ways, and IWoT has the ability to do that. So I'm not saying that they're going to do that, but there's a huge area of unadapted Wheel of Time stuff. So if they do play through the books, which I really hope they do in some way, shape, or form, I think that would be absolutely amazing. That would be cool. But they have the ability to do all kinds of other stuff too. They've hired the right people. So right now, Craig Alexander, who was the studio head at IWoT Games, he is running the game studio and building it basically from scratch right now in Montreal. He's 30 years of experience. He's the VP of product development at Warner Brothers Games, and he was responsible for Lord of the Rings Online. Great game. I played it a little bit. Again, Lord of the Rings wasn't super my cup of tea, so I didn't play it very much, but it was a good game. Right now, we have Stéphane Dastus. He is director of studio operations. He's Canadian. Go Canada. He helped found IWoT Montreal and Square Enix Montreal. So two little companies. If you know what Square Enix is, maybe you haven't played a Final Fantasy game. Both companies now have over 600 plus employees in Montreal. So he is going to head studio operations. So the two big powerhouses, both with decades of experience within the game industry, are going to help run this studio. They're hoping within the next 3 to 4 years to build up to a team of 200 to 300 people. So for those who are hoping for a Wheel of Time game to come out this fall, it's not happening. Next summer, probably not happening. The year after that, probably not happening. To develop a game from scratch and create a studio from scratch takes time. Takes a lot of time. So we're talking, this is the long game. They are playing the long game. They're not trying to dump something out really, really quick. So usually when you take your time with something and you build it from scratch, it's going to be good. They've hired a bunch of other people as well. And they put out this call. So Stéphane put this out, and they're basically looking for people. So if any of you out there are viewers who work in the game industry or do coding or artwork and things like that, they are looking for people, and they're looking for people with experience. They're not really, so far at least, I don't see them looking for entry-level positions. Everything is 10 years plus experience. I mean, that's pretty standard in today's job market. You need 10 plus years experience for a new engine that came out last year. Do you know what I mean? That's just how things are worded. But they're talking with people they want skill with Unreal Engine 5. So I would assume, based on they're looking for people with skills in that's what they're going to use to run the game, which I think would be really cool. But they've hired a few other people, and these are all heads of department. These are not the people on the ground that are actually making the game. These are the people that are going to be running departments that make the game. So studio art director is going to be John Lindenhurt. He has 30 years of experience. He was director of art at Tubin. He helped with the art for Lord of the Rings Online, Dungeons & Dragons Online, a few other big AAA games. Steve Gray is going to be the studio tech director. He's got 30 years of experience. He did NBA 2K Online, Call of Duty. He worked for Activision as well. Lori Hyrup, she's going to be the studio design director. She's 20 years of experience at Warner Brothers Games, was her last stint. She was design team lead for over 50 games. She did Dark Age of Camelot, Star Wars Uprising, Battlestar Galactica Online, a bunch of different games. So they are hiring people with experience. They are hiring people with AAA games under their belts. They're hiring people that know what they're doing to head the departments. And they're looking for, at least according to this, people, quality people as well. So again, I'm excited about this, but I don't expect to see it for 5 years, if that makes any sense. And that's not a bad thing, folks. To make a quality game takes time. I'm not in the game industry at all, but I actually know people who are, and you can pump out a game pretty quick, but it's going to be pretty garbage. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on this down below. Now, I know there's a ton of people out there right now that are not super happy with IWoT for whatever reasons, because of all the history and whatnot, but I do want to remind everyone out there that if we're going to get new wheel-time stuff, it'll be through these folks. And I will be covering anything new Wheel of Time related here on the channel because it's Wheel of Time stuff, and I love the Wheel of Time. I'm hoping that this is going to be quality and that it'll be amazing. And from everything I'm seeing so far, it looks that way. So I'm cautiously optimistic when it comes to this. So we have that. Now, there are other projects in the works right now too from IWoT. We have an Age of Legends trilogy of pictures, movies. They have the director, they have the writer, they have funding, they have all the things put in place for it. They're doing casting for it very soon, from what I'm hearing. So that is actually going forward. So we're going to see an Age of Legends movie based in the Age of Legends. Not quite sure what is going on with that as far as storyline goes, but that is in the works. We have an 3D animated feature made by Squeeze Studios in Montreal, Quebec. So again, another Canadian company based on the White Tower. Think of it like Harry Potter, but the White Tower. If that makes any sense at all. They're following a young girl going to the White Tower, her adventures in the White Tower. It's going to be an animated movie that way. That is also in production. It's also pretty far along from what I understand, so that is coming out. And there's a plethora of unannounced projects right now that that's kind of been hinted at to me that are coming as well. So just because the Wheel of Time show right now is kind of on pause doesn't mean we're not getting more Wheel of Time stuff. It is coming, and it's going to be all over the place. It's not just going to be focused on one area. There will be Wheel of Time things that I think pretty much all aspects of the fandom can enjoy. You may not be a gamer. Maybe you like movies. Maybe you don't like movies. Maybe you like animated features. Maybe you don't like that. Maybe you like something else. But we should see other things that are coming in the coming months. And I will definitely stay on top of it here and let you guys know what's happening with it. And again, I'll also stay on top of all the Wheel of Time show news if we happen to get any more news on that. Again, reaching out to my sources, I haven't heard pretty much anything just as of yet. The SafeWalk campaign is actually gaining more and more steam. And one of the things I want to mention, I noticed this as a comment on my last video, and not just one, I made a lot of comments on my last video. People are very angry that they're raising money. They're asking for money from people. They're not forcing you to donate money. It's just one of the things that people can do. I myself don't have the funds to donate money to pretty much any cause right now because of the state of the world and state of prices and my family and my situation. But there's a lot of things that they're asking people to do that are no cost, like writing letters, making statements, posting on social media. Those are the things you should focus on when it comes to the Save IWoT campaign. Don't focus on the fact that they're accepting donations. Every campaign does, because they're doing things with that money to promote the campaign. But you don't have to, and they're not out and about saying, "Give us money," which some of the comments seem to indicate. That's not what they're there for. They're there for to give an outlet for fans to try to help save a show they love, and most of what they're doing is no cost to the people who are involved. So write a letter. Doesn't cost you anything to write a letter. Post on social media. Doesn't cost you anything to do that. Make a video. Send it in. A little testimonial why you love the Wheel of Time. Doesn't cost you anything. Those are the things that they're really looking for. They're not really looking for donations. I mentioned that they do take them, and for whatever reason, a lot of people focused on that and they were very angry about that. And that is not what that campaign is for. So go to savewot.com if you love the show. Write a letter to Sony. Write a letter to Apple. I saw someone post on a Facebook group that they sent a copy of The Fires of Heaven to the executives at Netflix. It's a smart thing to do. Things like that. You know what I mean? Anyway, so look out tomorrow for my video on Legend of Zelda adaptation. Everything we know so far. And my pick for Zelda, it's a fan cast, but I am super excited for this adaptation, and I do have a pick for that, and I hope she does get the role. You'll find out who tomorrow in tomorrow's video. Anyway, thank you so much for sticking with us here to the very end, folks. Here's to many more.